820. All right, is this working? Here we go. Hi, so today I'm going to be starting off by reading the ticket description and then we can go from there. Issue description. The original issue I had was a cracked screen. I ordered a new screen that I believed to be compatible with my machine and brought it to a local computer repair shop here in Will Leave Blank. The technician was unable to complete the repair and make either the new screen or the old broken screen work with the computer. Currently, the screen will not power. The technician believed it required component-level repair and referred us to you. The screen currently attached to the laptop is the new screen and the unattached one is the old broken screen. Please contact me directly if you have any questions. Thank you. So let's take a look at what local repair does. Let's see. How did they fix it? So this is an 820-3787, and we're going to take a look at what it does. So I'm just going to plug it in. Probably shouldn't be plugging it in. It chimes. All right, so the first thing that we usually like to look for is that we are getting our 5 volts at the LCD connector. So this requires 5 volts at the LCD connector in order to power the screen. That's before we go to backlight. Let's just put the voltage meter on there. Unfortunately, you can't see it, so I will have to read this out to you. We're going to measure L8300, and we get 5 volts. Now, if you measure backlight, we get 0 volts. All right, so let's take a look. Where's the backlight circuit located on this motherboard? So if we take PPV out SOLCD backlight and measure it back and go back here, we'll eventually find that circuit on page 61. Now, the reason that I check for image first is because we need to have an image before we get a backlight. We need to have the 5 volts present for the LCD to turn on before we're actually going to get power for the light to go through. It's kind of like you have to wake up before you go to work. You know, you don't go to work and then wake up. I shouldn't say that. Bad analogy. This is New York after all. But let's just take a look at what that backlight circuit looks like. So it looks like U7701 is the chip over here that's going to be responsible for a lot of that. So we're going to go over to U7701 and 01 right up here. It's sad how often this always on top extension doesn't work. I was using Linux at home for a while and I kind of missed XFCE. It's the little things that get you. Like having always on top built into the operating system instead of attached to a script that works when it wants to. Anyway, so that looks like U7701 over here. So we're just going to look at that area on the board. And let's see. So this is U7701 under the microscope here. Huh. All right, area looks kind of normal. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too... What the... Really? Really? Is this really necessary? Is this what you have to do? Okay, so let's see. What is this component? So what is this? So what the fuck is this over here? So this is F7700, which is a fuse. And what do we do to a fuse but run over it with a fucking solder blob and then give it back to the customer and say, hey, I know you had a backlight before. But hey, fuck you. You don't have a backlight now. And I couldn't figure out why, so I decided to put a solder blob over the protection device in your $2,200 machine. Suck my dick. And go send it to this other guy. What the fuck? Like, I remember what it was like 7 and 8 years ago when I had this problem. I would have to pay $200 out of my pocket to bring it to somebody who would fix my fuck up. Really. And this is the thing that killed me when people would say, you're not a real business because you're working out of your apartment. You're not a real business because you're sharing space with the studio. How is it that a store is allowed to do this? A retail licensed storefront is allowed to say, hey, I fucked your shit. Now send it to somebody else. And they're allowed to be called legitimate. But a lot of the people who watch this channel, who are doing this work out of their apartment or their garage or hole in the wall somewhere, that genuinely care about the work that they do for their customers, are called illegitimate because they don't have an address, or it forwards to their cell phone. I don't get it. So, whether you're a real business, and I put this in a video that I did back in 2012, whether you're a real business depends on whether you treat and see your business as real, not whether, you have fancy t-shirts that have the name of your company on them or a nice fancy store and logo. Do you actually give a shit? And here's the part that really tells me you don't give a shit. Because here's the sad part. After you did this fuckery, you could have at least had the decency to put the original fuse back on, or just wick it, just wick away the fact that you put this over the protection. Why are you being a turtle? Somebody just crawled by the camera because they didn't want to be seen by YouTube. So I'm going to make sure to publish her picture at 8:05. Anyway, you could see that they didn't even have the decency to wick this. Because that's the thing, let's say I fuck something up and I know that I fucked it up badly. And I'm not going to take accountability and responsibility. I would at least have the decency to not insult the person enough to try to hide the fact that I did it. It's like if you're going to bang your best friend's wife, at the very least have the decency to not get caught. It's just why? Okay, so let's try and figure out what actually is going on here. So first thing I have to do is we're going to remove that. Oh, come on, though. The fuses never blow anyhow. You're right, Paul. That's why it's a silly thing to do this in the first place. So, I guess at least if you're going to bang your friend's wife, if you're going to do that, have the decency to make sure you don't get caught is all I'm saying. Show that you give a shit. If you're going to screw over your customer, at least have the decency to not say out loud that you're screwing over your customer. That's all I say. That's all I think it takes. A little bit of understanding. Alright, we're going to toss this fuse out of here. I may just decide to use hot air. I really should just plug in Jason's set of tweezers. My station doesn't work with tweezers. I'm the only one that doesn't have tweezers. So there was yeah, Paul, there was a fuse still under this. Alright, there we go. Bam. Fuse is gone. So the first thing to do is put a new fuse in there. A new, better fuse. A superior fuse. Let's get one. I have tape on everything. Everything is always broken. Really? Really? The lack of... All right. Now we put a fuse. And there's a reason I'm doing this with a soldering iron and not a hot air station. I'm doing it with a soldering iron because I routinely hear the excuse made that I can't do what you did just there because I don't have a hot air station, or I don't have hot tweezers. I don't have what you have, so I'm not able to do it properly. And we all know that's a pile of bullshit. You can do it properly, you just don't want to. See, this is a soldering iron, which is totally not made for replacing a 0603 package by itself. But it's going to happen anyway. And it's going to happen kind of jankily. You know, it may be a little janky, but that's fine. Here, what I'll do is I'll wick this pad so it's flat. No, the board view will not troll Lewis again. Fuck that. No, not like last stream. I know Paul did that on purpose. Oh shit, I did it again. Oops. Oops, I did it again. That's a song you don't want to have stuck in your head. Alright, so get the fuse in there. There we go, we drag it into the pad. And now we do the other side. Now, what I did is I had one side of the fuse had solder on it. I mean, one pad had solder on it, and the other pad was flat. So this allows me to slide the fuse in, have it flat on the board. I think I just almost soldered a portion of the old fuse to the new fuse. Anyway, fix that. There we go. So now we have a fuse soldered in. So see, you could do that with a normal iron. You don't need a fancy iron in order to solder a 0603 package in. If you have the equipment to solder a blob, you have the equipment to solder a fuse. So there's absolutely no excuses there for the solder blob. The solder blob is not necessary. Now what we're going to do is we're going to check for a short on output. Because if the fuse blew, there's always going to be a reason that it blew. And we want to figure out what that reason is. So I'm going to measure for a short on each side of the fuse. And then I'm going to measure for a short at backlight output. So it seems like we don't have a short on either side of this fuse. Now I'm going to check for a short on the output of backlight, which is going to be on pin 1 of the LCD connector. So if we were to go here, you can see on J8300, pin 1 is the LCD connector. So we find pin 1 of the LCD connector right here, and we're going to measure for a short. And it appears we have 86 kiloohms, 158 kiloohms, so none of that's a short right there. So now we're going to plug this in and we're going to see what voltage we get on backlight output, because different voltages on backlight output are going to tell us different things. Moot, don't do that. God damn it. Don't get that stuck in my head. No. I will come to Jersey and get you. I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron. Don't you get that stuck in my head. I've already had Jennifer Page Crush stuck in my head for 2 weeks. You know how bad that is to have a Jennifer Page top 40 song stuck in your head? Alright, so it looks like we still don't have a light, but that's fine. We can fix this. Was it you or Dr. Jessa Jones who instigated the janky term? It was actually one of Jess's customers who said, I'm not sending this to your janky 2-bit repair shop. So she got a bunch of shirts made up, I think, that said janky 2-bit repair shop. Jess is one of those people that takes whatever you say bad about her and she turns it into her logo or her defining characteristic as a way of making fun of and minimizing your insults, which is a good way to go through life. Very good way to avoid bullying. So it seems like we have 0 volts on pin 1 of the LCD connector. But that's cool. We got this, bro. So let's look on the schematic here and see where it is that our backlight circuit fails. Now, if we look over here, let's see what we get on each side of the fuse. Let's just start right at the very beginning. So on pin 1 of F7700, let's see what we get. On pin 1 of F7700, we get 12 volts. On pin 2 of F7700, we get 12.6 volts. So we're going to continue now down to Q7706. And does Q7706 open? Also, what's going to make it open? Q7706 is a P-channel MOSFET, which means it's going to open when the voltage on the gate, pin 3, is lower than the source, pin 4. So let's check pins 4 and 3 of Q7706. Now, pin 3 is supposed to be lower than pin 4. So, pin 4... Pin 4 is 12.6. Pin 3 is 12.5. Not opening. Now, what's going to tell this that it's time to open? What's going to tell us that it's time to open is communication with the LCD. So what we're looking for here is that these I2C lines going to the screen are good. We have I2C backlight 1 SDA, I2C backlight 1 SEL. That's going to talk to this chip. Then this chip, backlight enable Jerry, I'm guessing that Zach from Jerry Rig Everything had something to do with the creation of the 820-3787 backlight circuit. Shout out to him for his role on the LP8549B1SP_03. And that's going to then talk to this chip on an SDA line, which is then going to tell it whether or not to open. Now, if we were to look at this SDA data line here, what's pulling it up? What's pulling it up? And also, what voltage is it being pulled up to? If we were to look at the I2C backlight 1 SDA line and control F it to find out where it comes from, it looks like it's pulled up by PP3V3SO. And that looks like it talks between, the demuxer and that. Let's see. There's also backlight SDAR over here. Let's see where that talks to. This is pulled up by PP5VSO, backlight control. And let's see what's supposed to be here on the LCD connector. Does it ever talk to the screen? Okay, this is an interesting model. So it does look like here, this does not talk to the screen. Interesting. Interesting. So let's see if this is the right... Now, there is a chance that maybe the wrong year screen was used. And that could be why it decides that it doesn't want to open or have backlight. So let's see. We have PP out SO LCD backlight. We have the LED returns, LCD HTP decon, LCD FSS, DisplayPort stuff, and then power for the screen, and that's about it. Now, first thing I'm going to do is see if I'm getting a picture on the screen, which I'm going to do by taking my microscope light off and putting it through the LCD that's on there. Just plug in the battery in case I manage to pull the MagSafe off. Hit the keyboard key a couple of times. Put the light behind here. And it looks like there's genuinely nothing on screen. All right. Wonder what type of screen you bought on eBay. Okay, we're going to try this again. So perhaps we may have no image. I wonder if anything got ripped off by the LCD connector, but we can take a look at that after looking at the original screen that's sitting here. That's supposed to be the cracked one. Sounds like they broke it beyond repair. Yeah, that's what this looks starting to look like. But one way to find out. With any luck, the muck... Aha! Now I think I see what's going on. So the other screen they sent me has an LCD cable that looks like this. This is getting sad. Let me just put my microscope light back on here. So the other screen that was sent has an LCD cable that looks like this. Bro. What the fuck? That is no good. Okay, so I'm not plugging that in. So let's see if I can find an assembly that I can plug in and use to test this with. Since I don't trust new screen, I don't trust old screen, I don't trust any screen. Maybe just a cable to plug into that one. Yeah, be nice to the LCD connector pins. They didn't do anything to you. Whenever you want to be mean to those pins, just ask yourself if they've done anything to you. Let's see. Wrong year. Actually, this will work just fine, even though it's a different year. 2012 through 14 should be cross-compatible. All right, we're going to try my other screen. And it looks like it's still foobar. No light. Let's see if we get 5 volts on the panel. And let's see if we get any voltage at all at backlight. Five volts there, but backlight is 0. And of course the transistor is not opening. Now I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and try 1 or 2 more. Offer me for a discounted rate. I have blemishes. So this probably works. So this is a known good assembly that just has marks on it. Let's see what this one does. Give it a second to boot. Foobar is an audio player, and it is a superior one for the person who asked. Ooh, this one had a quick tremor of backlight before going back down to 0. Interesting. I just want to make sure that this one gives a picture. Actually, wait a second. I'm being an idiot. I'm testing this closed. Of course you're not going to have a picture. Of course you're not going to have a light that way. Plug you in. Ta-da! A light. And an apple. Okay, well, kind of a fucked up, scratched up apple because the screen is broken to bits and pieces. But it did show something, and that is a light that's lighting up here. See that? Gee, you can't see that for shit. Let's see. Eh? Yeah, see that? That's a light. See? Because when I unplug it, it goes away. So, that is that. All you need to do is not ruin the screen that you're plugging in. That's all you need to do. All you need to do. No need to put a solder blob that's bigger than my forehead over the fuse. And you don't need to do this to the board, to the screen. Don't do this to that poor little screen. It doesn't deserve it. This over here is sad. It's so sad. And if you do this stuff, like, just for your customer's sake, to show that you respect them. What you can do to show your customer that you respect them if you entirely screw them over is have the decency to cover your tracks and hide it. Again, if you're going to fuck your best friend, at the very least, make sure that you don't get caught. That's it for today, and as always, I hope that you learned something.